Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Get ready today. Probably there's going to be a lot of overreaction. A lot of real overreaction on this Friday. Good morning. I've yet to take a sip of my tea here. I kind of wanted to do that together. You know what I mean? I figured, if we're going to have some tea, let's have some tea together. Cheers to you. Cheers to you this morning. Hopefully everybody's off to a nice start on their Friday. Got a lot to get into. We got some reaction to the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors yesterday. Some overreaction. And we'll just try to enjoy our Friday. If you're a member, remember, we got a show afterwards for members only. Members, we're going to do a show probably about a half hour after this show ends. We'll get just kind of talk about the week that just happened, kind of game plan together for the following week. So if you're a member, make sure you stick around today. If you're not a member, consider being a member. Cheers to you. What time did I leave the arena yesterday? Like 11? It was late. Maybe a little bit earlier. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit. It was late. Lakers got another game tonight, too. They got the Pelicans. All right, I got a quote for everybody. It's a good quote. It's a little bit long, but I like the quote. If you feel safe in the area you're working in, you're not working in the right area. Always go a little further into the water than you feel you're capable of being in. Go a little bit out of your depth. And when you don't feel that your feet are quite touching the bottom, you're just about in the right place to do something exciting. Good quote right there. I like that. We can all kind of apply some of that stuff to our daily life. That's the quote for today. Let me give everyone a quick rundown of the show, and then we'll get things started. I think today's going to be a very busy day, by the way. I think a lot of people got a lot of thoughts and reaction of the game yesterday. I got some Luka stuff. We got a lot of good stuff. Okay, so Lakers lose to the Golden State Warriors. Why we spent a little bit of time on that game. I'm not going to overreact. Got to be honest with everybody. I'm not going to overreact, and I have my reasons why. I got a list of reasons why I would not overreact to that loss yesterday that the Lakers had to the Golden State Warriors. So don't overreact to it. We'll get into what that exactly means. Warriors and Lakers in a 7-game set. Yeah, that's a real toss-up. And if, last night was any indication, maybe that gives even the edge to the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk a little bit about what a 7-game set would be. And there's a reason why I've been telling everybody there's a certain side of the bracket you want to stay away from and a certain side of the bracket that, you would prefer. We'll get into that a little bit. I got a question for a lot of Laker fans here on Luka. Luka didn't have a good performance last night. I'm going to propose basically 3 questions on Luka that basically you're going to pick from. And I'm very curious to hear, what Laker fans, what their thoughts are so far on Luka as a Los Angeles Laker. Will the Lakers regret not having Mark Williams and not making that trade? Will that be a regret? Well, we'll kind of dive into it a little bit. What it means short-term, what it means long-term, depends what happens in the offseason. We'll spend a little bit of time on. There are already rumors about where Kevin Durant, some different landing spots for him. Ja Morant, let's just say I don't think the dude is learning from his mistakes, unfortunately. We'll do a little bit of a weekend preview. We'll talk about the Final Four that's coming up tomorrow, so that should be fun. That should be exciting. Some key games in the NBA that are going to be there. Some matchups around Major League Baseball. Then we'll get the hell out of here. So I appreciate you guys all being a part of the show. All right, let me take a quick look here, and we'll look at some of the comments here, and then we'll get the show started. JF, Warriors come out to play, and they did. They did play. Warriors were really good yesterday. I don't think there's any shame in giving credit to another team. Warriors balled out yesterday. Warriors were actually better. Just this lighting here. When you got, gold like this, you know what I mean? Like, I know when they come on the show, one of the first things most people say is like, damn, Sliwa's face, it's basically a pot of gold. I mean, that looks amazing. You can't make that anywhere else. They probably don't say that, but it's okay. I say that to myself. Warriors balled out. Warriors are a good team. Whatever I thought of the Golden State Warriors 24 hours ago, I think of it differently today because of how good they were. All right, let's see what else we got here. But I also think they freaking had just like one of those performances. Are they going to do that? 4 games out of 7? Maybe. Maybe they can do that. Good morning, Slee. Just saw a patient and recommended your show to him. Thank you, Amir. Thank you, Amir. Amir is making it happen there. Medical school, the whole thing. Do we oh, this is a good question here. Carl Popper. By the way, I'm still doing this every morning here. I don't even have a partnership with him. But there's some mutual interest here. It's actually really good. I like it. Magic Mind. The details here. Sharper mind, lower stress, calm energy. It's like a shot. This is the closest thing I'll ever get to in doing a shot. Unless I do we do a Lakers viewing party or something and I'm hanging out with you guys. All right, then I'll take a shot with everybody. Do we root for Golden State or Denver tonight? I still think you root for Golden State. I still think Lakers got enough of a cushion against Denver that I think you root. Oh, I'm sorry, enough of a cushion against Golden State that I still think you root for Denver. You want that number 3 spot. The number 3 spot to me is the most important thing right now. The Lakers, and they're still in a spot to potentially do it. I did read Jimmy Butler may or may not play. Of course, he may or may not play tonight. So that's not obviously going to help. All right, I'm gonna get a couple quotes in here because I know people put some quotes, and then we'll keep rolling here. Let me see if I could find that quote. Absolutely need the 3 seed. Yep, we'll talk about it. Because I'm with you. I'm under that. I'm under that. You got to be in the right bracket. Oh, I appreciate you. Little SDFC here. San Diego getting in the mix with the MLS team. All right, SD. Get in there. It's actually been pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. I think MLS is going to do really, really well in San Diego. All right, let's see. Did I have a quote? I thought I saw somebody put a quote. Oh, here's a quote. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. There you go, brother. I appreciate you right there. Okay, let's get the show started here. The man who thinks he can and the one who thinks he can't are both right. Ooh. Oh. Phenomenal quote right there. Damn. I want that walking into my office. What is it? Notre Dame that's got Michigan. Somebody's got something where they all hit something as they go into either they're going to the locker room or they're going out in the field. I want that one right there. That's phenomenal. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for hanging out. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. What the hell are you doing? Thank you for being here. Lakers lose to the Warriors. Just kind of my quick thoughts on the game. You can't have a game where Luka struggles like that, where the bench only gives you, I think it was 7 points total is what the bench gave you. You can't have Pajimski go off for 28 points and shoot 10 of 17 from the field. The guy went 8 of 10 from the three-point line. Steph was firing on all cylinders. He gave you 37. Kuminga gave you 18 and 9. Warriors shot very efficiently from the field. They shot 45% from the three-point line. They shot 84% from the free throw line. You can't give up 120. Like, you're not winning the games like that. You're not. So I'm gonna give the Golden State Warriors a lot of credit for last night's win, because here's a team that obviously is fighting like the Lakers are for seeding purposes. They've been playing great since Jimmy Butler has became a Golden State Warrior. They walk in on the road, final game of a 6-game road trip. Anthony Slater, if you guys were listening to the show yesterday, who covers the Golden State Warriors, does a fantastic job covering the Warriors. We were talking a little bit about Golden State. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Give them credit. I thought Golden State had a phenomenal game plan against the Lakers. I thought they outplayed the Lakers. And, even Lakers putting up 69 points in the second half wasn't even enough for them to win this game. They controlled the game. They controlled tempo. They, I think, forced the Lakers into the type of shots they wanted them to take. Out-rebounded the Lakers, got a lot of second chance points. 50-50 balls all went to the Warriors. And their backcourt, like I said, had 65 points. You just can't have that happen. If that's going to happen, you're going to be in some major trouble. We're not talking Clay and Steph in their prime here. We're talking Steph, older, still a phenomenal player, and Brandon Pajimski, who is also, a nice player for them. Can't go 8 of 10 from the three-point line and drop 28. Give the Warriors, I'm gonna preface this. You guys know I got no problem giving credit where credit's due. Golden State was better than the Lakers yesterday. Golden State's going to be a dangerous out in the playoffs. I didn't need to see the game yesterday in order to tell you that. They already got that championship pedigree. We already know that. Here's why I'm not going to overreact to yesterday's loss. Okay. Number one, it's the first time you've seen this matchup against these two teams. I think there's a real benefit to playing the Golden State Warriors because if that is your first round matchup, now you got a little bit of data. You need some information. You need to know, okay, what's that starting lineup? When they go super small, what does it look like? Okay, how did Pajimski get all those shots off? How do you play him in the next matchup that you have? All right, how do you get Steph Curry off the three-point line or Pajimski off the three-point line? Okay, what do you do with the Lakers bench? How can they be more effective the next time they play them? All right, what are the kind of shots Luka was getting? How do we get him better looks? The good thing, I think, about last night's game, it's the first matchup that you've seen between these two squads. Now you got a little bit of data to work with. And for the most part, everybody was there for the Warriors and everybody obviously there for the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay, you can live with that, right? I think there's a little bit of if this was a 7-game set, and it was a regular season game, and you're playing the Golden State Warriors, now you could go back to the drawing board and say, okay, guys, here's what we got to work on. And they didn't have that before this game. The only data that they had is whenever Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry and Jonathan Kuminga and Draymond Green, all these guys when they played other teams. And the same thing for the Golden State Warriors. They obviously didn't have that much data on the Lakers as well. And it was, give Golden State credit. But that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to overreact. It's the first time these squads have played against each other. Are the Houston Rockets, who lost to the Lakers last week, is that it? Hey, we lost to the Lakers. We never have a chance against them again. No. Ime Udoka will go back to the drawing board. He'll start working on what he needs to work on, and they'll keep things rolling. And they'll get another chance to face the Lakers in the regular season. And if they get a chance to face them in the playoffs, and they'll go. Is Denver thinking, hey, that's it. We lost to the Lakers in that road game where Luka dropped whatever he did, and Lakers beat us by 23 at our home court. That's it. We don't have a shot against the Nuggets. No, it's just, all right, got something to work with here. That's one of the reasons why I'm not overreacting from yesterday's game. One of the things that I also already mentioned, another reason why I'm not overreacting, Pajimski's not going to score 28 again. He's not. And he's not going 8 of 10 from the three-point line. I mean, he had the game of his life yesterday. They started the game. Before you sat down at Crypto.com Arena and you took off your jacket and you got comfortable, the dude already had 3 threes. And I'm being literal. The first 3 buckets for the Golden State Warriors were 3 threes from Pajimski. I want to say he had over 20 points in the first half. That ain't happening again. He might have good nights here and there, this and that. Okay. And you know what? Maybe what you could say if you want to make the argument, yeah, well, Jimmy Butler's not having another game too where he only has 11. All right, that's a much different case to make. That's a much different argument to make. But the offense for the Golden State Warriors was pretty much flawless. You can't shoot almost 50% from the field, 45% from the three-point line, 84% from the free throw line, and think to yourself, yeah, our defense is good enough to win, or our offense is good enough to outpace that. You're not outpacing that. I don't think they're going to do that 4 times in a 7-game set. Again, I could be wrong. I genuinely mean this when I say it. 4 out of 7, they might be able to do that. They might be able to do that. And we'll talk about if these two teams faced each other. I thought the second half, Lakers, the right effort was there. They played hard. They couldn't get a key stop when they needed to. They couldn't get an off it or a defensive rebound, tip outs, every single loose ball went the Golden State Warriors way. That's another reason why I'm not going to overreact. Okay, that's an area Lakers got to improve on. Luka and the bench were awful. Is Luka going to have another game? And if he does, then, we might as well be getting ready for Cancun. Start booking your trip right now to Cancun. If Luka's going to go 6 of 17 from the field, 0 of 6 from the three-point line in 38 minutes of play, Is he going to be that bad against the Golden State Warriors again? I got to imagine that he's not. Superstars have bad games, but then they follow it up with great games because that's what makes them superstars. There's another reason why I wouldn't overreact to last night's game. The bench had a total. These are three guys I really, really like having off the bench for the Lakers. Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, and Gabe Vincent combined for 7 points. Me and two others on the chat right now, whoever wants to go play with me, can have 7 points as well. They were bad yesterday. Dorian Finney-Smith was bad yesterday, offensively and defensively. Gabe Vincent was bad yesterday. Those are two guys that hit 12 threes against the Rockets. The Rockets were probably sitting there right now saying, that's the performance they got from Gabe Vincent and Durant. Where the hell was that when the Lakers were playing the Rockets? They were bad yesterday. The bench was a complete non-factor, including Jordan Goodwin. Just a complete non-factor. Is that going to happen every single night? There's another reason why I don't overreact. The last reason why I wouldn't overreact to yesterday's loss against the Golden State Warriors. I think people are they'll probably get upset at this one, but it's sort of the truth. I'm just popping up the standings as we sit here. They have sort of a cushion that they built themselves. Sort of a cushion. Not a lot, but a little bit of a cushion. Let me tell you what I mean by that. All right, you lost yesterday. Golden State's still 2 games behind you. Denver has to go to Golden State tonight. All right, if Denver wins that game, then maybe it's a different conversation. If Lakers take care of the Pelicans tonight and the Golden State Warriors keep rolling and they beat the Denver Nuggets, I don't even know who's playing for Denver, right? We know that they've had injury issues. They rested, I think, Nikola Jokic, most of their starting lineup after they lost that double overtime game to Minnesota. Let's see what happens in this game tonight as well. Because if things go the Lakers' way tonight, they can move back up to the number 3 spot and still have a 2-game cushion because they have the tiebreaker on the Golden State Warriors. And now you're kind of telling yourself, all right, the Lakers, they're still in an okay position. I think overall for me, was it a tough loss? Was it a critical loss? Sure, the whole thing. I don't know how much I'm going to overreact to it. I do feel like that the Lakers, I do feel that this team is good enough, smart enough, hungry enough that they lost against a good team in the Golden State Warriors, and I thought a lot went the Warriors' way. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments here. Let's see how many people are cursing me out. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's see what we got here. Ernie76. Ernie, thank you, brother. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Ernie was on the post-game show yesterday. Now here he is on the morning show. Geez, Ernie's working as much as I am here. He's an investor. Thank you for the super, brother. Slee, we need a big spark off the bench. LeBron and Luka enough. AR off the bench would ignite them. A la Lamar Odom thoughts. I'm going to say this, and I don't think the team is going to overreact to one loss. But I've said from the beginning, I liked the idea and the concept of having Austin Reeves come off the bench. I've liked that idea. Now, LeBron got hurt. You had to obviously have Austin Reeves. Yesterday was the first game that I actually felt like LeBron looked more like himself. So I think that's obviously important. That's key. That's actually something that I don't think we're really talking enough about. LeBron did look like himself yesterday. Here's LeBron's stats from last night. 10 of 15 from the field. Bron had 33 and 9 yesterday on 15 shot attempts. Luka, 17 shot attempts, 2 more shot attempts than LeBron, and he only had 19. Big, wild difference between the two teams. And LeBron said at postgame that he felt like his legs were feeling a little bit better. It's the best he's felt since he's been back, and it's the best he's looked. So, sometimes you could feel good, but maybe the performance wasn't all that. LeBron looked good yesterday, and he felt good is what he said in the postgame show. Let me go back to what I was saying about there was a time where, you had to obviously have Austin Reeves in that starting lineup. I have said this before, that having AR come off the bench, I think would be a really unique way for the Lakers to say, okay, we got enough offense. Now we got some spacing. We got enough scoring, and we have another defensive presence. I would use a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith in that position. But I don't know if they're going to do that. I think they're going to go with what they have. And a lot of that is also going to be predicated on LeBron was out or wasn't 100% healthy, and I think they felt like they needed to have AR there. AR, hypothetically, and I want to make sure people understand this, let's just say AR came off the bench. AR still going to get you 32 to 35 minutes a night, 35 minutes a night. He's going to play as much as LeBron and as much as Luka. It's just more kind of the strategic factor of how you use him. Some of the all-time greats, Hall of Famers, have come off the bench. It's not the Manu Ginobili's of the world, and I'm not comparing him to Manu, but strategically, sometimes it makes more sense if you can have that type of player coming off the bench. But I don't think they're going to do it. I really don't. I just don't think that's going to happen. Ernie, I appreciate the super brother. Let's see what else we got here. Okay. All right. Got people bitching and complaining about LeBron and Luka playing together. Okay. Take a drink. What do we got? Take a drink every time Slee says, let's see what we got here. That's like that's my buffer. That's my in-between. You know? That's when I stop talking, and then I start to see if let's see what we got here. All right, let me look at a couple more comments here, and then I think let me throw this out to everybody here real quick. Let me throw this out. 7-game set, Lakers and the Warriors. Guys, let's just say this is it. This is the first round. Lakers and the Warriors. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about a 7-game set, Lakers and the Warriors? This is why, I've said this, and here's my genuine thought on it. It's a toss-up. It means, let's see, playoffs start, I think April 20th, April 21st, April 20th, I think 420. I think that's when I can have coffee as well. I'm not going to have coffee until the Monday. Monday is when I'm going to have coffee because I'm going to have coffee with you guys. We're going to all sit down, have a cup of coffee together. That will be 50 days without coffee. Lakers and the Warriors in a 7-game set, I think is 100%. I think is a toss-up. This is why I keep saying I don't want to see him in the first round. This is why when you go look at this is why it's so key to try to get out of this number 4 spot. And by the way, you lose enough games here, you're going to fall to the number 5, and you wouldn't even have home court in the first round. But this is why I think it's so critical that you try to get out of that first round. Listen, if you got Warriors in the first round and then OKC waiting for you in the second round, it might not be the longest of playoff runs. If you strategically, in the first round you have Memphis, and then I don't know, you got Memphis, and then in the second round you got Houston. Okay, now we're talking about a little bit more extended of a playoffs, and then you could kind of figure out what happens from there. Let me keep going on this. What do you think Lakers and the Warriors on a 7-game set? Last night they come into your house. They get a W. They would be very, very, very tough on the road. We obviously all remember the X factor for the Lakers in the past against the Warriors was Anthony Davis. Okay, well, he's no longer there. Both teams would make adjustments. It's going 6 or 7. I mean, it's going to be an incredibly tough series, but I think it would be a toss-up. Okay, final thing I want to get into in this, and then I want to talk Luka here. All right, we'll talk Luka. I still cringe when I see LeBron gives those big hugs to Warrior players after a tough loss. You know what I'm all right, here's another one here. It says, I'm not worried. I'm going to go back to that, the hugs after the game. Lakers are 500 in the last 10 games. It's more than just one loss. Yeah, they've been up and down. They've been up and down. Rob, don't do this. You know what I'm referring to, Rob. Okay? Carlos. Don't do this, bro. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say 420. I mean the date, April 20th. Okay, maybe it means other things as well. Yeah, they've been up and down. There's just no, what's weird to me is you got this, how do I describe this? You have, what are some of the ups? You beat Indiana and Memphis on the road. You lose to Chicago and Orlando. I mean, definitely ups and downs. This is kind of comes with the Laker tour. You beat Houston. That's an impressive win. Lost to the Warriors. They're up and down. I think that's where they are right now. Okay, I think I have delayed this long enough here. I want to talk Luka real quick, and I think a lot of people are already putting their comments here on Luka. Let me propose a quick question for everybody here. Okay. Luka was bad last night. His thoughts on his performance, he said it was unacceptable. So let me just kind of propose a question here to everybody that's watching. Okay. What have you thought of Luka so far as a Laker? I want you guys to do me a favor. Okay. This is not a conversation about the trade. This is not a conversation about Anthony Davis. This is not a conversation about the future. This is not a conversation about any of those things. I'm talking about since Luka Doncic became a Laker and started playing with the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm going to give you guys three options here. And I'm genuinely curious, okay? Is he better than you thought? Is he exactly what you thought? Or has he been less than what you thought? Again, I'm talking about what you've seen from Luka on a night in, night out basis as a Los Angeles Laker. I'm not talking about the offseason. I'm not talking about 3 years from now. I'm not talking about 5 years from now. I'm not talking about Nico Harrison and the AD. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the games that you've seen Luka, because here's what's happening. A lot that's I see in the comments is people, maybe they're bitching and complaining about Luka. If you're bitching and complaining about Luka because you think the Lakers shouldn't have made that trade, I don't really know what to tell you. Every general manager would have made that trade, and to overreact like that off a game or two or something like that, doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I'm asking the question, from what you've seen so far, is he better than you thought? Is he exactly what you thought he was going to be? Or is he less than what you thought? I'll give you my opinion first. Okay. So far, Luka is a Laker. To me, I have this perception of Luka that I used to watch in the playoffs. I didn't watch him every night, right? I just watched Luka in the postseason and everything else. Luka so far, to me, my perception of Luka coming to the Lakers was like, oh my God, this is top 5 player in the league. This guy's going to be dropping 32, 8 and 8 a night. And it's just going to look so easy for him. I think so far, Luka as a Laker, been a little underwhelming. It has been. It has not been better than I thought. I think it's closer to what I thought, but I think it leans more towards less than what I thought. Luka has not been as good as I thought in the games so far that he's been a Los Angeles Laker. It has nothing to do with what he's going to potentially do down the road. It has nothing to do with what he'll be in the playoffs, which, by the way, he's one of the few players that takes their game from superstar status to whatever status is above that. He typically does that in the playoffs. His numbers in the postseason are better than his numbers in the regular season, which if you guys follow the NBA, not too many players outperform what they do in the regular season, especially superstars like that. They take their game to another level. So Luka could be a completely different level in a couple of weeks from now. But I'm only talking about the games that Luka has played so far. It's been underwhelming to me. I thought it would be more. That's it. And you know, the problem with, I think sometimes we all get caught up in this, well, why this? And they should have done this. No. I'm just talking about what you've seen so far from Luka. Better than you thought, exactly what you thought, or less than what you thought. Let me read some of the comments here. This is why it's good to do this, because I think I'll probably have a lot of people that disagree with me on this. Probably a lot. Here's kind of the crazy thing too. Luka in a bad night, a bad game, can still give you 28, 8 and 8 in a bad game. They're just, I didn't play well. Yeah, I mean, obviously yesterday he did not play well. He genuinely did not play well yesterday. All right, let's see what we got here. No, I disagree. I would not. You say not a fair question to ask after his worst game. No, I disagree. I think you could still take his entire body of work. Let's say last night's game didn't even happen. Let's say last night's game didn't even come. And I don't want to. I don't want to propose. Maybe you're right that the timing is bad that I'm asking the question. But I think you could still look at his body of work as a Laker and give your opinion on that and give your thoughts on that and still be genuine about it. I know he's coming off the game yesterday where he didn't play well. I know that. And maybe, to make this fair, maybe I asked the same question when he's coming off a game where he absolutely balled out. But that is my thoughts up to this point. Let's see what else we got here. Luka may be slow on defense, but he's got more steals than Reeves, DFS, Goodwin, and Vando. Okay, somebody defending Luka here. Want to see Luka in his best conditioning. Okay, probably wouldn't happen until next year. Let's get another one here. C+. Based on expectations, he's been awesome versus Denver, but his shooting efficiency has been bad overall. His mid-range game has been a huge letdown now that teams are taking away the lob. This is a thoughtful comment that I think is taking, I love this. Expectations, C+ on expectations. He's been awesome versus Denver, but his shooting efficiency, I think that's a very, very fair assessment. And I don't think that's leaning off of a win last night, a loss last night. I don't think it's leaning off of one performance. Keep going here. Do we care about Luka during the regular season or playoff time? I think both, James. I think James, because how he plays in the regular season may dictate how far the Lakers go in the postseason because of seeding, because of matchups, because of home court advantage. So I think both are very important. So I think both of those are very critical. But I think it's a fair argument to make, and I appreciate you bringing it up. Now, obviously, the noise gets louder in the playoffs, but last night was pretty loud. I think last night most people were walking away saying, Luka, you got to get more. Got to get more from Luka. He's got to be better. And one of the first things, I heard from Luka, and this is something I appreciate more from star players. When star players are the ones that say, this isn't going to get it done. I can't play like this in order for us to get to where we want to get to. Luka didn't shy away from that yesterday. It's the first thing Luka mentioned. Well, the first thing Luka mentions, my performance was unacceptable. Let me actually read the quote. I have it here. He called his performance unacceptable. I'll read the exact quote here. See if I could find it here. Let's see if I can find it here. All these quotes. The performance from me is unacceptable. Yeah, I mean, basically, I had already said it. So I looked all that way for a good quote, and then I had already read it. All right, let me take a look at a couple more comments. I want more people's thoughts here. Need to play more defense. Okay, people critical about his defense. Okay, Luka will be fine. He's going to step it up. Jasmine, but that's not the question. I think, again, I don't really. The future is going to be the future. I'm just asking what he's done so far. What do you think of his game so far as a Laker? Because we all got expectations, and I think all of us probably had unrealistic expectations right out the gate. All of us did, because it's freaking Luka Doncic. Okay, well, maybe he did. Maybe we didn't give this man enough time to say, okay, well, he's got to get into a rhythm. I mean, frankly, if somebody says, Al, whatever he does this year, I think is just gravy. Nothing's going to matter until the offseason next year, once the Lakers kind of start building their roster around him. You can even make that case. But I'm talking about what you've seen so far from Luka. That's why I kind of presented it with those three questions. Better than you thought it was going to be, exactly what you thought it was going to be, or less than what you thought it was going to be. All right, let me take a look at a couple more of these comments here. Fair point. Can't wait until they build around Luka. This is basically a team created for AD and LeBron with Luka on it. It's not designed for Luka. You're not wrong on that. I mean, and I don't want, I'm going to read this comment from Adam. Luka's not the problem. Your shit players like Gabe and DFS are. Adam, again, I'm not telling you Luka's a problem. I'm asking what you think of Luka so far. That's all. The roster is not perfect. I'm going to take you guys back. The day Luka Doncic became a Los Angeles Laker, a couple days later, there was a press conference. There was a presser, and one of my questions, I got a chance to ask a question to Rob Pelinka, and I asked Rob, there was a couple days left before the trade deadline, and I asked Rob, how do you think long-term, also knowing that in the short term, the roster is what it is, and you still got a couple days before the trade deadline? Right out the gate, before I even finish my sentence, he's like, we know this roster is incomplete. It's not a perfect roster, obviously. And then they, by the way, tried making the trade for Mark Williams, and then you kind of build from there. Everybody knows that this roster is not, it's not built the way their vision will be, where they can, for the first time, start kind of figuring out what the roster is going to be starting in the offseason. And if that's the argument people want to make, is like, well, until that team is built around him properly, then you're never going to get the best version of Luka. I guess you can say that. I don't see the top 3 player in the world. Frankly, right now, the way he's been playing, where would you put Luka? Let me just kind of look at this. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards. Just trying to look at teams right now. Jason Tatum. Just looking at teams right now that are competing. After that, I'm not 100% sure. You know, where you put Giannis. I don't know where you're putting Jalen Brunson. I don't know where you're putting Donovan Mitchell. I'm just not watching these teams enough, right? I don't know where you're putting Cade Cunningham, you know, if you want to kind of start looking at teams that are in the playoffs. So wherever he is, I know that there's definitely some players in front of him. Let's get another one here. It's wild. Fair point here. Let's hear. It's wild how Luka won us multiple games and we already are out on him. Let's be better, Laker fans. Who's out on him, Joe? Who's out on him? I hope you're not referring to me. Day to day, do a talk show every single day, Monday through Friday, right here at 8 a.m. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you hanging out. It's good to have conversations like this. Nobody's saying they're giving up on Luka. I'm just asking what you think of Luka so far. To me, Lakers traded for Luka on February 1st. I had this expectation that was unrealistic. I've got a chance, or 2 months now, month and a half, whatever it is, since Luka's been playing. It hasn't lived up to what my hype was personally. That doesn't mean that it's not going to start tonight. That doesn't mean he hasn't had great performances before. When he had the performance at Denver, 123-100, he was talking shit while he's hitting shots and looking at Christian Brown, basically saying, hey, why don't you come up and play me a little bit more? You can't let me shoot that three. That's probably the real version of Luka Doncic. But part of the job also is to watch, be a little bit more critical. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Luka ain't going anywhere, and I don't think anybody's asking for him to go anywhere. But of course, we got to be critical. So far, my grade for him is a solid B because he's not 100% yet. When he's in NBA shape, he will rise to an A. Hawkman, it's April 4th. Hopefully that, I want guys to be not in basketball shape in August, in October, not in April. But obviously, he was coming off the injury as well. All right, let's get a couple more of these, and then we'll keep moving on. All right, Sliwa, you're out on him. Unfair question today. Ask that question, LeBron, after Lakers lose, and he had 10 turnovers. It's awesome. Now I'm going to be labeled as I'm out on him. I expect Luka to be a huge playoff riser. He has always been. Yeah, and I think the key is here. To an extent, the regular season obviously means a lot because of seeding and because of standings. But I think on the other side of it is what you do in the playoffs is what people remember. That's it. So if Lakers got the Golden State Warriors in the first round and Luka is the best player in the series. Nobody's going to give a rat's ass to the Lakers losing to the Warriors on Thursday, April 3rd. Okay. Glad I got to get some of your guys' opinion on all that. Let's get a couple supers in here and keep things rolling. Salute Slee. Salute, bro. Better trade, Jimmy or Luka? Let me tell you guys, this is why it's one of the more lopsided trades in NBA history. Luka's 25. He just turned 26. That's why. And I will tell you this, Miami really didn't trade much to get the Warriors didn't trade much. What'd they trade? I know they threw a pick in there. They threw Andrew Wiggins in there. They didn't trade much to be able to get Jimmy Butler. But Jimmy Butler, I think, is, at a stage of his career where he's got a few years left. What's that contract going to look like in a year? What if things don't go well with the Golden State Warriors? Is he going to, we've kind of seen him on his way out the door, certain franchises. Luka's going to be, it has the chance of being one of the most lopsided trades in NBA history. We'll see what happens. But that's why it was such a big deal, was for all those reasons. Let's get another one in here. Nick T. Luka is a solo act. Super overrated and entitled. All right. Version of James Harden minus the subpar defense Harden plays. Nick T, you're entitled to your own opinion. I don't think so. Guys, for those that, just kind of a reminder here. What do we want to judge players on? Do we want to judge players on results, or do we want to judge players on stats? Because if you want to judge them by stats, Luka's got some of the best stats you can possibly have by the time he hit 25 years old. If you want to judge them on results, got to the Western Conference Finals, got to the NBA Finals before he hit 25 or at the age of 25. Isn't that a combination of the both? Listen, I know we'd all love to see some of these players have, we compare and it's like, all right, well, how many championships do you have? Okay, that's fair. That's fine. But can we make that comparison when the guy is 30, not when the guy is 25, 26 years old? I don't know when Jordan got his first chip. I don't know when LeBron got his first chip. I don't think they were 25. So, Nick, I think, I understand what you're trying to say, but literally he's done both by the time he was 25. He had the stats to support what he was doing, and then he also had the results to support what he was doing. But you're entitled to your own opinion. So I appreciate the super, and I appreciate you letting me know what you think. Amir, how many poor performances did AD have in pivotal games where he said, I need to be better post-game? We want to kill him. Now Luka says it after a bad game, and some fans feel the same way. I think Anthony Davis, you're right, it happened a lot. And you know what would typically happen the next game is he'd usually dominate. He'd usually have a phenomenal performance. He'd go off. He'd do whatever he does. That was kind of the blueprint of Anthony Davis, to be honest with you. 3-4 games in a row, he'd be great. And then he'd have a game. It's like, AD, where were you in the fourth quarter? What do you mean you only took 2 shots? How come you're not demanding the ball? So that used to happen a lot with Anthony Davis. Too often. But these are such polar, opposite, different players. It's hard to make, obviously a lot of comps between the two. John Wayne gets in here. Reeves, 9 threes, and LeBron went 5 of 8 from 3. Not again. I think what you're meaning there, John, is that ain't going to happen again. Yeah, their performance from the three-point line was incredible. LeBron was 5 of 8, and Reeves 9 of 16. So I guess if we're talking about, performances that probably won't repeat itself, Luka probably won't go 6 of 17 and 0 of 6 from the three-point line, but also those two guys won't hit 16 threes combined or 14 threes combined. 14. John, thank you for the super. Let's get another one in here. Slee, they need a big spark off the bench. LeBron and Luka, not enough. Oh, that's right. Ernie, we read this one. So I got that one in a little bit earlier. So thank you for that super. Let me crank through these last two here, and then I want to get to another topic. They cannot stay in front of Steph. They are hunting Luka and Reeves. When Luka, Bron, and Reeves dominate the shots, others are not involved. That's John Wayne. Yeah, I think yesterday, I said it to a few people I was talking to at halftime. And, I'm at the game yesterday, obviously at the arena. And a few people I was mentioning to them that, what was I saying to them? That I felt like Golden State was dictating who they wanted to shoot when. You know what? We're going to put so much attention on all these players. Rui, you want to go off for 20 tonight? Go ahead and do it. Vando, you got a couple open looks from the corner. Go ahead and take them. I thought they were kind of dictating what shots. Luka was getting shots, but he was getting tough shots. So, John, thank you for the super, brother. All right, let me get this last super in here, and then let's keep going. I got a couple other topics I want to get into. Slee felt like Vando should have played more, especially down the stretch, especially when DFS wasn't playing well. His defense creates offense. I got to be honest. Let me look at this. Vando plays a lot less minutes than I thought he would. Let's see. Does this show minutes? Look at Vando's last 5 games minutes-wise. 13 minutes against the Warriors. 10 minutes against Houston. 10 minutes against Memphis. 19 minutes against Chicago. And 16 minutes against the Pacers. Probably not even averaging 15 minutes a game. Yeah, there's a give and take with Vando, right? There's a portion of you that wants to see Vando on the floor because of what he does defensively. And then if teams are smart enough, I'm not guarding Jared Vanderbilt if my life depended on it if I'm an opposing team. I'm just not. And you want to take a good-looking, wide-open 3, go ahead, my brother. I'm not even running out towards you. I'm not even putting a hand up. I mean, that's just a business decision that you make. So there's the kind of the give and take, right? The give and take that you have with certain players. And Vando is such an extreme on both sides. He's such a good defender, but he obviously struggles from the offensive side. So thank you, brother. I appreciate the super. And I don't completely disagree with you that there is a little bit there that you would hope that Vando gets a little bit more minutes. Okay, shout out here to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, one of our partners to the show. Thank you for his support on the channel. Man, what are we now? 2 months into our partnership. What a good dude. And really, really appreciative of him following me here on YouTube. Brad Wallace and I have known each other for about 5 years. I hope you guys never need Brad Wallace. This is a kind of obviously an interesting type of service that he provides. He's an injury attorney. He could help anybody in the state of California. We got a URL out there, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you are a family member or ever involved in a serious injury or a wrongful death, again, I hope you're not, but things happen in life. And unfortunately, if they do, you want to be as prepared as possible. When it comes to holding insurance companies accountable and maximizing case results, go to my guy, Brad Wallace, and his legal team at the Wallace firm. They're the real deal. They consistently win big injury and wrongful death cases, and you won't pay them until they win for you. It's that simple. They're built to win, proven trial lawyers, like I mentioned. And you could go to the website, get a free consultation if this is something that applies to you or applies to a family member. Another thing that you could do is, if you ever want to hit me up personally in an email, I'll make a personal introduction with Brad Wallace. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at his office. You guys got a chance to I wanted to kind of personalize our relationship, talk a little bit, had him on the podcast. Big Laker fan, by the way. Happy to help if I can help in any way. wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. And also, like I mentioned, free consultation. They can help anybody in the state of California. Will the Lakers, you think, regret? There's no way of knowing right now. Will Lakers regret the Mark Williams trade? Watching that game last night, there was a part of me, and again, I like admitting certain things, just to admit to everyone. When that trade got rescinded, I got on a mic here and said that I think this might be a good thing. I think they gave up too much for Mark Williams. Watching the game last night, you know who they needed? They could have really used Mark Williams. They could have really used a big body down there. Someone that could crash the glass, someone that's more of a lob threat. Jackson Hayes, you bring him off the bench, so you kind of always have an option of having big guys. Dalton Knecht is falling further and further off the depth chart. I mean, right now, if I was sitting on that Lakers bench, JJ Redick might look at me, might look at Dalton Knecht and make a decision. Who do I want to use? Knecht, they're not using. I think when the playoffs come, I've said this before, and I'll talk about it again. Amin El-Hassan came on a couple weeks ago. Al, here's my concern with the Lakers. Size, rebounding. These are things, as great as the Lakers have been without having Anthony Davis, eventually teams are going to figure out how to properly play against you when you have some of that lack of size. I don't know if the Lakers will regret the Mark Williams trade. I don't. But watching that game yesterday, you're saying to yourself, geez, they could use another big. And watching that Dalton Connect is truly, truly not being used at this point, and I don't think that's going to change. Maybe Dalton Connect will get a few minutes here and there, but the way that rotation looks right now for the Lakers, they're going 9 deep, and they're not using Dalton Connect. Who are they using? LeBron, Austin Reeves, Luka, Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura. Those 5 are your starting lineup. DFS, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent. All those are locks. There's 8 right there. You use about 9 in the playoffs. Goodwin is getting those minutes. And Goodwin is getting them because I'm sure J.J. Redick wants a tough-minded, defensive-minded, gritty player, and that's kind of what Jordan Goodwin is. And that probably will be more of a match come postseason. I don't know if the Lakers will regret not making that Mark Williams trade. I think in the short term, they'll definitely, hey, what do the Lakers need right now? They're not using Dalton Connect. I think in the short term, they will probably regret it a little bit. But we really won't know for a couple of years. And we won't know until it's kind of going to depend on the offseason. Okay, what do Lakers do in the offseason? If they go out and they're not able to really find a big I'm just using this as an example. They're not able to go find a big that fills the role properly. Maybe the market is even more expensive and it costs you Dalton Connect and more, that pick and something else. If it's a player that you don't feel like has as bright of a future as Mark Williams, there's a lot that kind of goes up in the air. We're never going to know. We literally won't know for a couple of years. Time will tell. But I think in the short term, obviously, you want something right now. Doesn't mean it makes sense for the long term. That's one thing that I did notice yesterday. I definitely noticed a little bit of that yesterday. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see what we got. I'm regretting them not getting a big body and putting in the middle. Who cares who the big body is? It's a freaking big body and say protect the rim. Well, I got Alex Lynn. That didn't exactly go well. DK is a liability on defense. He's worse than Luka. I don't know why Laker fans crying about DK minutes. Yeah, and I think the question is going to be too. What would he be doing right now that would completely change the scope of a game? Because if you're going to have him in, basically what you're saying is we want to try to outscore teams. And even in the times that they've used, let me tell you when they were using Dalton. They were using Connect more when LeBron was out, when they were having these injuries. Rui was out. And I thought Connect was actually starting to play pretty well. I really did. I thought he was starting to play pretty well. DK gets super lost on defense. That's probably why. And I don't think this is like the answer. You know what I mean? Let's see what else we got here. Okay. All right. All right, you guys are all in your own world. This is what happens, guys. This is what happens. Lakers lose a game and everybody hallucinates. I've given you guys the analogy before. This is what happens. Lakers win a game. This is the chat in a nutshell. Okay. By the way, I really, really do mean this when I say it. Just make sure whatever you guys are doing, be respectful to each other. Like, you guys know my vibe. You guys know how I am. I mean, hell, I start the show. I try to get one of these motivational quotes up there. I know it's a chat. I get it. But, let's all be respectful to each other. But this is my analogy of the chat. When the Lakers win, People are holding doors for each other. Hey, no, please, come on in. Holding the elevator. Sometimes the elevator, there's like the timing of that person's coming. You know what? I'm going to let the elevator close. No. Come on in. I'm holding the elevator for you. Somebody at a coffee shop, just randomly, the person might, hey, I'm buying your coffee today. What would you like to drink? That's when the Lakers win. When the Lakers lose, F you. Honking at everybody. Texting when you're driving, you piece of. It's a little bit different. All right, let's keep going here. What else do I have here? I'm going to switch gears here for a quick second. I want to talk KD real quick. I want to talk Ja Morant. And then we're going to do the weekend preview. By the way, I'm going to set a goal for our I'm doing a show right after we're done with this show. About a half hour later, I'm going to do a members-only show. Can I get 5 new members to be a part of the show today? I just put a link right now. It is $3 a month. $3 a month. I try to kind of set a little bit more of an intimate setting when I do these membership shows. Viki just gifted 5 memberships. Can we get 5 new members on top of the 5 that were gifted? By the way, I really appreciate you doing that. That'd be awesome. And then when I do my show, probably around 9:30, 9:45, we could welcome in some new members into the show as well. So that would be phenomenal. I just put a link in the chat here. You're a click away if you guys want to become a member. Let's get 5 in there. Okay. Let's keep going here. There's a couple other things that I want to get into here. Kevin Durant. Did you guys see this yesterday? I want to talk KD real quick. Will Kevin Durant get a statue in Phoenix? They got to retire his jersey. I mean, Durant and the Phoenix Suns, 35 and 41. They've lost 4 games in a row. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. I mean, that 3 might be better. When I think of those 3, when I think of KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, let me tell you the 3s that I start thinking about. I start thinking of Jordan, Pippen, and Kukoc. I start thinking of Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. I don't know who you guys think of. I'm just kind of giving you guys I start thinking of LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. I think of KD, Steph, and Clay. He's got to get his jersey retired in Phoenix. What a tenure in Phoenix. Oh, KD was so good in Phoenix. Here I am hating on KD, but to be honest with you, that whole team, that organization, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Shams Charania put something out. He was on NBA Today yesterday. Am I allowed to talk about NBA Today yesterday? Here's who Shams said to keep an eye out for making a trade for Kevin Durant. The Minnesota Timberwolves, the Miami Heat, the New York Knicks, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Houston Rockets. Those are the 5 teams that they say keep an eye on. That in the offseason, Kevin Durant will be available. It's the worst kept secret in the history of the NBA that Kevin Durant's going to be available this offseason. And those are the 5 teams that he's talking about. I also saw here, it should be noted that Durant is open to signing a $122 million extension and staying in Phoenix. That came from somebody in the Ringer. The odds on that outcome are long, but it's on the table. Okay? Phoenix probably not going to make the play-in tournament. They can't even make the play-in tournament. Here are the 5 teams: Timberwolves, Heat, Knicks, Spurs, and Rockets. Let me tell you guys kind of the teams that immediately come to my head where I feel like, okay, I think this is where KD needs to be. KD needs to be in an environment where everything is already set up and all he's got to do is come and just play basketball. He can't be a general manager. He can't be trying to pick his teammates. He can't be trying to, be part of the front office. KD is at his best when he was in Oklahoma City, and it's like, let the front office take care of everything. I'm going to be Kevin Durant. When he was with the Golden State Warriors and let the front office take care of everything, I'm just going to be Kevin Durant. I'm going to be one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I don't see that happening in Minnesota. I don't see that happening with the Knicks. I'm not sure about the Rockets. I think the Miami Heat are the Miami Heat, and whatever star goes there, they obviously have a front office that knows what the hell they're doing. I think the Spurs would be wildly interesting with De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama, and you add Kevin Durant to that team. And then the Rockets just got a lot of, really good players, but they don't have a star. I think Ime Udoka is a good enough coach. Now, I don't know how they would get along and everything else. I forgot who it was. It was Ryan Hollins that was saying what makes Ime Udoka so great is I don't care if you're a star or you're a role player. I'm going to treat you all the same. How will Kevin Durant take that at this stage of his career? But those were the 5 teams that were out there. And the Spurs one, to me, looks most interesting. He doesn't have to be the best player. He got other guys that can set him up. The Spurs are obviously a really well-run organization. He can just kind of be himself and play to his strengths. The Spurs found a way to get KD. That might be the place that we're all looking at here, and we're certainly talking about. All right, I want to look at if people agree with me in this or they think something different. Phoenix should have never had a parade after winning the West a few years ago. Did they have a parade for winning the West? Yeah, you guys can't do that. You guys can't do that. You can't have that. Timothy, relax with the caps. For the love of Jesus. I read it. I already read your comments. I got it. You don't have to go all caps. Give Caps Lock a break. Come on, man. All right, let's see what else we got here. Signing KD long-term is dumb. He's got to be on the right team. And he's going to get, listen, the guy is going to get, he's going to get paid. I mean, Jimmy Butler just got paid. They always have these. Glad you caught this one. George, I'm glad you caught that one. Durant to the Clippers. Won't work. I think that's a great example. He already played with James Harden. It's not going to work. Let's see what we got here. Let's take another one here. Yeah, I hope KD goes to Boston so that he can ruin that franchise. That might be a good way of putting this here. Last thing I'm going to mention on this, and I do think from a KD perspective, I think there's a little bit of wherever he ends up, it's got to be just the right organization. So whatever happens, happens. But why Caps? That's my only question, Timothy. Why Cap? Okay, you got it. You think the Thunder are going to win, but why Caps? That's it. Durant going back to OKC would make more sense since they need an experienced player. I think that's going to depend on how they do in this playoff run. It would be kind of cool to see full circle. Okay, one more quick story here. Ja Morant, and then we're going to get into the weekend recap, and we're going to call it a day. Okay? Or a weekend preview. Yesterday, I'm watching the game in the media room, Chick Hearn media room, and sitting there, and they got one of the games going on, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on teams, Memphis and the Clippers and Houston, and all these other teams because of the standings. So Memphis is playing Miami, and Miami hits or Ja Morant hits a shot at the buzzer. All right, what does Ja Morant do after he hits the shot at the buzzer? He makes a gun gesture. And he did that also against the Golden State Warriors. And the NBA came out and was like, hey, here's a warning to you and Buddy Hield. Why don't we go ahead and not make a gun gesture? And then last night, after they got the W, he made a similar gun gesture against the Heat. He got interviewed after the game, Tim Reynolds of the AP. He said, I'm kind of used to it. I was pretty much a villain for 2 years now. Every little thing, if somebody can say something negative about me, it's going to be out there. So, yeah, I don't care anymore. Why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because In 2023, he was suspended twice. I think it appeared to flash a gun on his Instagram Live. He missed a number of games. I think he missed 8 games, and then he missed 25. What do you say? I feel like I've been the villain for the last 2 years, not even just on this road, or not even just to this road crowd. Can I tell you guys something about Ja Morant? I don't know if Memphis is the answer for him. I don't know, what kind of – how bad I just want to see Ja Morant be Ja Morant and just be a phenomenal player. And I think that Ja Morant's a good example of, if he can be in the right organization with the right team and the right coaching staff and the right front office and the right role players and the right stars around him, I want to watch and I want to experience Ja Morant for what he is. What I don't want to see is, I go to ESPN, and one of the only articles, if you go to ESPN, you go to NBA Home, the front article on Ja Morant. Morant uses finger gun gesture despite warning. The guy just hit a game winner. Their team has been struggling, hits a shot at the buzzer, and this is what we're talking about Ja Morant for. I'm a fan of Ja Morant's game. I wish Ja Morant was more mature to not put himself in this position. So, and by the way, maybe this is it. I thought about this yesterday too. Somebody has a comment here. Gun gesture are all over the place now. Sign of the times. So there, I had a second there. I'm like, wait a minute. Is he the only one that does this? I thought there's other players in the NBA that also do this, or maybe it's more hyped up, or it's more talked about because it is Ja Morant. I don't know. But damn, this is all we get to talk about Ja Morant for. I want to talk about Ja Morant because of his athleticism, his greatness. This is a great comment. I mentioned this to somebody yesterday. Ja Morant would be great in Heat culture. I agree with you. He needs something like that. Ja Morant needs to get somewhere where it's about, they can just kind of get the absolute best of him and then also help him kind of, grow and learn. I don't think it's going to happen, obviously. I don't think it's going to happen out there. Okay, here's another one here. Okay, so what are they picking on him? Are they picking on Ja? The gun gestures are done by several players. Miguel Bridges does. Austin Reeves and the Lakers heads does the gesture every made 3. The NBA can't tell just Ja to stop the gesture. Okay. By the way, if this is true and it's real, and I'm not watching Mikal Bridges, Austin Reeves, I'd have to look if he's doing a gesture like that. If there's some truth to that, then I want to make that argument for Ja. But Ja has also been suspended for over 30 games because of incidents like this, or flashing a gun during Instagram Live, or whatever the case was. So obviously he's got to be smart about it. All right. Let's do a little weekend preview action here. Got a busy weekend, guys. We got a busy weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. A lot of good basketball. Obviously got the Final Four. Let me get everything here. All right, there we go. Weekend preview. So let me go real quick. I'm going to start here in the NBA. Let me start tonight what we're previewing. So Lakers obviously got the Pelicans, 7:30 tip-off. Might as well just make the tip-off at 9 o'clock. I mean, a 7:30 tip-off on a Friday against the Pelicans. My God. All right, the games to keep an eye on as far as what has effects on the Lakers. Thunder Rockets tonight. Thunder at the Rockets. All right, we'll be cheering for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's see what happens there. Nuggets Warriors, big time game there as well. I'm cheering for the Warriors in this one. I think we need the Nuggets to grab another L. Mavericks and the Clippers. I was talking to Brad Turner of the LA Times yesterday. I'm like, BT, are the Clippers good? He's like, they're really good. I'm like, but didn't I just watch them against the Lakers and Lakers dominated them? He's like, yes. Kawhi wasn't fully back yet. Norman Powell didn't play in a couple games. So supposedly the Clippers are really good and they can be a headache. So those are the big games going on tonight. Just something to keep in mind. Grizzlies got the Pistons tomorrow at Detroit. So Lakers can certainly use another L for the Grizzlies. And then the only other Mavericks Clippers go back to back. So they're going to be playing 2 games. That might be tough tough cooking for the Mavs there if they lose those games and trying to lock up that number 9 seed. Of course, we know Lakers are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, so that's coming up on Sunday. That's a 12:30 tip. I'll spend a little bit more time talking about that after the Lakers play the Pelicans tonight, and then Sammy will do a preview video for that game as well tomorrow. So those are, from an NBA perspective, those are some of the kind of big games going on. Sunday also on NBA TV, Rockets at the Warriors. So there's still a lot of tough games for a lot of these teams. So just something to keep in mind. As far as the Final Four goes, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Florida-Auburn, and then at 5:50, Houston and Duke. Powerhouses tomorrow. I'm going to watch that Houston-Duke game. I just want to see Cooper Flag. So that's all I'm kind of interested in seeing, is kind of seeing how that all pans out, how that works out. So something to keep in mind there. Last thing I'm going to mention here as we preview our weekend, somebody had put in here, find this real quick. Somebody said, Ernie said, Slee, why are you not talking about your Padres 7-0? I don't want to jinx it. You know, what do you want me to tell you? I'm trying to sit here and jinx it. Here are the series. Padres play the Cubs. It's actually an early game today, but they're going to start a 3-game set against the Cubs. Padres 7-0. I talked about, I think yesterday, Dodgers, Padres, and the San Francisco Giants have the 3 best records in Major League Baseball. So we'll see what happens on that front. Giants are playing the Mariners, just a heads up there. Dodgers going to Philly. Damn, that's a good series. 8-0 Dodgers, 5-1 Philadelphia Phillies. So that's a phenomenal series right there. You got 2 of the better teams in all of Major League Baseball going at each other. The weekend preview is presented by the Wallace firm. Need legal help for a serious injury? The Wallace firm are proven trial lawyers. Go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa to learn more. wallacewins.com/Sliwa to learn more. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the show. Okay, let's get a couple more comments in here, and then we're going to be done. Cooper Flag, OKC Bank. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh, that's the last thing that the Oklahoma City Thunder need. You know, every time I hear people say, this team has got this protected pick, and if it's not protected, it goes to the Thunder. They still have stockpiled. Them and the San Antonio Spurs have stockpiled picks for years. So we'll see what happens in that front. Curry got the oven preheating for the playoffs. They got 2 big games. They got another game going tonight against, I mentioned, against Denver, and then they got another big game coming up against the Rockets on Sunday. That's a good game. That's a sneaky good game. So OKC has hoarded all their picks. And they've also drafted really, really well, and they got by far the best record in the NBA. Mavs, no playoffs. NBA owes them number 1, like Pelicans got it suddenly after AD. Cooper Flag, a Maverick. I don't think that one's happening. All right, let's see what else we got here. Final couple more, and then we're done. Let's go Lakers, beat the Pelicans. Let's go Mets, beat the Blue Jays, home opener. Strange opponent playing home opener. Rob Manfred wants Inter. I didn't know we were getting a Mets shout out here. Okay, my people, thank you very much for being a part of the show. I really, really appreciate everybody hanging out all week. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. What are we at? 31,300, I think, something like that. As we try to get closer to 32,000, that'd be fantastic. At 10 a.m., give me about 45 minutes. I'm going to handle a couple of things. 10 a.m., I'm going to do a members-only show, members-only video. We're going to sit here, shoot the shit, 15 to 20 minutes, get a chance to kind of get some responses from our members. Really, really appreciate you being a member, whether you did it on your own or you're being gifted a membership, however you got here. Thank you very much. I'll be back on tonight after the Lakers take on the Pelicans. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys hanging out all week. And I will see you guys tonight after Lakers Pelicans. Members, I'll see you guys at 10. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.